Good evening. This is Satan's Trilogy, Book 3, Chapter 5, and it will be reading 99. I am the author and the narrator. Sit back, relax, and let the story unfold. Taking their seats, Raven and Riley Grace had just joined Chris, Eve, Helen, and Chris in ordering hot dogs. The girls were all hungry, and a hot dog would fill the bill. A young man dressed in denim whites was carrying a large tray of hot dogs, and he had enough for everyone. Soon another young man appeared carrying cups of soda. He found himself quickly handing out the cups of soda as fast as possible. Within a minute or two, everyone had a hot dog and drink. Esther quickly took care of the bill with the young man. She then sat down and took a bite of her hot dog and waited for the show to continue. The lights started to dim and Black Gothic Band ended their song. The drummer quickly went into several drum rolls that indicated the next match was about to begin. Michael Wade was making his way into the ring. Several attractive ladies held the ropes up so that he could enter the ring without any problems. The spotlight was on Michael Wade, while at the same time, several dozen white laser lights moved about the stadium, creating an atmosphere of excitement. Lifting the golden microphone to his mouth, Michael Wade started his announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment and the title of heavyweight champion of the W.O.W, allow me to introduce to you your challenger, Bo Jackson. Standing at the top of the first level at the entryway to the stadium, Bo's silhouette was huge and exciting. The lights behind him showed his size and muscularity. As he slowly turned to give the fans a profile view of his magnificent body, a dozen spotlights had found him, resulting in his clothing sparkling in the light. Bo Jackson was dressed entirely in black. His body had a form-fitting wrestler's costume that hugged all of his muscular body. With his tan face and glossy black hair, he was an exciting man to behold. The women and young girls were screaming as he flexed his body. On each side of Bo Jackson, several feet away, stood the twins, wearing black knee-length high-heel boots, black fishnet stockings, and black short dresses that sparkled the same way Jackson's clothing did. The dresses had been laced up the back as if they were corsets. The difference was they flared out at the bottom with just enough ruffle to define them as dresses, and the plunging front showed off enough cleavage to make the girls very exciting to the male fans. The twins walked closely behind Bo Jackson as he made his way down the stairs to the center ring. Halfway down the stairs, an old man of 60-something jumped out into the aisle and started to challenge Bo. This was not uncommon, for all of the arenas served alcohol, and this man had obviously had too many beers. Tracy quickly walked up to him. While grabbing his left arm, she softly guided him back to his seat while keeping him in a stress hold. Bo didn't give the man any attention. He was waving to and touching his biggest fans as he approached the wrestling ring. Danielle grabbed the ropes to allow Bo into the ring. Tracy had finally caught up and, jumping over the top rope, took her position behind Bo and to the left. The twins had become true professionals with their security job. Taking their positions, they canvassed the surroundings continuously for adversaries to Bo. Michael Wade walked up to Bo, holding his golden microphone to his mouth. He asked, "Bo Jackson, you're about to take on perhaps the greatest challenge of your career. Do you have a strategy against the champion, Satan?" Bo took the golden microphone from Michael Wade and spoke to the audience. "Satan is just a man. I believe that I am a better man, stronger man, and certainly a far better wrestler than Satan." Bo smiled and added, "Tonight we will finally know the true nature of Satan. I will tear down the myth and defeat the man." The lights dimmed in the stadium, the temperature quickly dipped, and the entire stadium felt a chill. Satan was about to make his entrance. Workers were quickly moving people aside and clearing the main floor aisle to the center ring. Bo Jackson knew the routine and gave the microphone back to Michael Wade. It had been turned off as the media people now helped Satan make his entrance. Black Gothic Band had created an entrance sound for Satan that had become popular with many wrestling fans. The screeching sound of the guitar with the heavy bass drum in the background vibrated through everybody's body. As the music evolved through the screeching sound of guitars into a heavy melody which began, "Welcome, Satan," and then the lyrics became lost in the bass guitar and drum beats that accompanied the song. The far side of the lower arena had service doors that slowly opened with a cloud of fog weeping into the stadium. As the doors reached their maximum height, the sound of horses breathing heavily and a softer background sound of souls screaming in sorrow filled the air. Suddenly, horses burst through the fog. They seemed to pause a few seconds as audience took notice of them. 6 solid black Frisian stallions with a tremendous amount of energy burst through the fog, pulling a black carriage from the 19th century. Having more wrought iron than wood, the carriage looked to be very heavy. Sitting at the front seat, the carriage's handler wore a period uniform with a top hat. The driver handled the horses with ease as they pulled the carriage to center ring. The fog had followed the carriage and was slowly dissipating as the carriage came to a stop, just a few feet from the ring. The small squad of men dressed in close-fitting black clothing had stayed close by, but were not approaching the carriage. They had cleared the path for the carriage and were regulars on Satan's appearance. The spotlights slowly converged on the carriage door as it began to open. A strong, muscular arm was pushing the door open. A muscular leg came out of the carriage. Finally, Satan's head emerged. He raised his arms in a greeting gesture that also accented his muscularity. Dressed entirely in red, his close-fitting costume clung closely to every defined muscle on his body. As usual, Satan wore a close-fitting head mask that hid his identity, and on his back were highly fluid script lettering in black that spelled out Satan. Having left the carriage, Satan stood alongside the carriage and took a look at the stadium, turning 360 degrees. Satan seemed pleased with the crowd. Holding up his arms in a receiving gesture, he welcomed the applause of his fans. Alongside the ring were steps to the main platform, giving everyone easy access to the wrestling ring. Satan slowly climbed the steps, 6 in all, and stood at the top perimeter of the platform. The crowd was cheering Satan as he slowly scanned the audience and kept raising his arms to encourage a continued applause. Finally, Michael Wade walked to the edge of the ring and stood by Satan. Trying to move the last event of the evening along, Michael Wade made his announcement without Satan having entered the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, defending his W.O.W. Heavyweight Championship title, please welcome Satan. Michael Wade stood back, hoping that Satan would finally enter the ring. But as Michael Wade stood back, the audience became fanatic and started to chant, "Satan, Satan, Satan," repeatedly. He did not move. Satan continued to stand on the platform with his arms out as if to welcome the audience into his fold. Bo Jackson was standing in the far corner, becoming impatient, with the twins trying to keep him calm. Danielle and Tracy were standing in front of Bo, hoping to keep him from doing something foolish. They understood that Satan always had a method to his actions, and that Bo should stand back and wait. Satan reached towards Michael Wade and grabbed the golden microphone out of his hand. Quickly, Satan started to speak to the audience. My children, your love for me is deeply felt. I have come here tonight to defend my heavyweight wrestling title. No one has given me a real challenge, and I am certain that tonight the challenger will quickly fall as the others have. Satan turned to Bo Jackson's corner and raised his right arm towards him. I have sent so many challengers into retirement that I have lost count. This man will be no different. Satan handed the golden microphone back to Michael Wade, then stepped into the ring. Bo Jackson had not been intimidated by Satan's speech and was more excited than ever to finally claim his title as heavyweight champion of the W.O.W. Moving quickly to the center of the ring, Bo stared eye to eye with Satan. They were the same height, appeared about the same weight, but Satan did appear to be larger and more defined in muscularity. The three stood in the middle of the wrestling ring, Bo on one side of Michael Wade, Satan on the other. Black Gothic band had been playing deep bass sounds with the drummer adding bass as well. They instantly stopped as Michael Wade raised the golden microphone to his mouth. This match is for the heavyweight championship of the W.O.W. A referee for tonight's match is your one and only Big John. The audience went wild. This short, stocky man came forward and took the microphone from Michael Wade as he left the stage. John walked over to the center of the ring. Raising the microphone to his mouth, John quickly listed the rules. You both know the rules, but allow me to refresh your memory. Anyone leaving the ring on their own will be counted out in 12 seconds, and the match will go to the other. If either of you pins your opponent for the count of 3 seconds, you will be declared the winner. An injury does not allow either of you to bow out of the match. A win can only be declared by a pin, and you both have 36 minutes to accomplish that. Big John took a long look at both wrestlers and asked, "Do you have any questions?" Big John gave them little time to respond before telling both wrestlers to go to their corners and prepare for the match. Bo Jackson cautiously moved away from Satan and went to his corner. Danielle and Tracy were both positioned alongside the ropes, at Jackson's corner. Bo's manager was standing on the floor, a very large man. He stood 6'4" and weighed nearly 400 pounds. He had arrived from Ireland 12 years ago. Having made a small fortune as a fighter, he turned to managing wrestlers. Calling himself James the Great, having managed many wrestlers over the years, he claimed that Bo was his greatest talent, and that Bo would make them both rich. Always dressed in black suit, he would hold an unlit cigar, waving it around as he spoke. Looking at Bo, James yelled, "Took you 6 years to get here. Now take what is yours, pin the man, and let's go home." James the Great then returned to his seat, ringside, where he had a very attractive woman on each side of him. James was a man of few words, and while his presence was often felt and realized, he stood out from other managers by saying less than them. James allowed his champions to do the talking. Bo looked at the twins, and each smiled at him. "It's your night, Bo," said Danielle. "That is right," said Tracy. "You saw Esther shove him out of your room. Satan is only a man. Defeat him with your skills. The night will be yours." Danielle quickly said, "Use all of your wrestling skills on him." Bo smiled. "Taking good advice is like drinking fine whiskey. I have no problem doing it." The bell rang, and Bo quickly turned, ran to the center of the ring. Satan was still in his corner talking with his manager, Dr. Mann. Bo saw the obvious delay by Satan and raised his arms to the crowd, questioning the behavior of Satan. The crowd started to yell out disapprovals, and Satan finally turned. Running to the center of the ring, Satan started to attack on Bo, but was quickly caught off guard when Bo slipped to his knees and used his legs to trip Satan. Bo quickly moved his legs between Satan's and created a pressure hold that would create pain for Satan. Standing over Satan with his legs locked over Satan's legs, Bo kneeled down to exert pressure onto Satan's legs. Satan let out a yell that no one had ever heard him give before. Satan then rolled his body over onto its side and reached for the ropes. The referee had to break up the two wrestlers once Satan held the ropes. Bo moved away, and as Satan stood, he again attacked, but this time Bo grabbed Satan's left arm and twisted backwards while climbing the ropes and forcing Satan to do a flip onto the mat. Bo quickly sat onto Satan's back while holding onto the left arm, twisting and raising it up. Again, Satan screamed in a way that his fans had never heard him do before. Then Satan rolled over his left side, and Bo quickly stepped away as Satan stood, rubbing his arm with his other hand. Satan was obviously puzzled. His frustration was obvious, and he wanted a few minutes to decide how to handle the challenger. Keeping an eye on Bo, Satan walked to his corner where his manager stood calmly. The two spoke to each other, yet no one could hear them. Suddenly, Satan turned as Bo had decided to continue his attack. Satan managed to fake being pushed out of the wrestling ring by Bo Jackson. Mr. John had bought the deception, and now Satan had 6 minutes to return to the ring. Mr. John had signaled the outside officials to start the delay clock. Satan walked around the ring, offering his hand to his fans and talking to the crowd in general, telling them that he would soon take Bo Jackson and send him to the hospital like so many others. Everything that Satan was saying could be heard throughout the stadium. It was as if he had a microphone built into his mask. As Satan turned the corner nearest Esther and her group of friends, Satan spotted Esther sitting in the far aisle on the end, 6th row back. Letting out a large growl that was scary to the entire audience, he quickly looked away and continued his walk around the ring. Esther didn't give the growl the slightest thought. She was fascinated with how this match would continue. Satan had now reached Bo Jackson's corner and took a look at the twins as they stood along the edge of the ring, with Bo standing by them at the corner of the ring. The twins were appealing to the audience to coax Satan back into the ring to wrestle. Flaying his arms into the air as if in disgust, the twins let it be known that Satan needed to return to the ring. As Satan walked past the twins, he ignored all of their yelling and gestures. He started to bounce and moved forward in a dancing motion. This threw the twins off for a moment as they watched his unusual behavior. Suddenly, Satan ran forward, jumped onto a short table that appeared from nowhere, and propelled himself up to the highest rope surrounding the ring. He grabbed the rope and pulled his body onto the mat. Landing on both feet, Satan released the rope and tossed his arms forward as if he had just accomplished something magnificent. And the audience did like it. They all yelled in approval. Satan was back and appeared to the crowd that he was ready to be bad. I'm going to stop there. That is reading 99. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, take care and be safe. Thank you for listening.